Oh, hello, Trish the Gong Gardener here. What do you think all these plants have in common? They all grow easily from softwood or semi-hardwood cuttings. So I just want to show you how to do a softwood or semi-hardwood cutting, just the basics. So what I've got here is I've got a couple of salvias. I've got plectranthus, got fuchsias, tangled fuchsias, China roses, easy peasy, hydrangea, another easy, more fuchsias, Coleus, which also self-seed from these flowers. These types of begonias. I like to do begonias early spring because that's when I prune them back. But this one here, you can do now if you want to. So the way to do it is first of all, have a medium that's well drained. So this, what I've got here today is coarse river sand, very coarse. It only stays moist, not wet. And I've got some peat mixed through there, but you can use coir fibre. And in the bottom of my pot, I just put the tiniest little bit of potting mix because when you're using sand, the water washes the sand through. So yeah, just to hold the sand in place, I just use that. But some people will put newspaper or something, but it needs to drain really, really well. And I like to use a squat pot, and you can put multiple cuttings in there. You can use one of those and put singular cuttings in each cell, or you can use a tray and put a lot of cuttings through there. The advantage of the separate cells is yeah, obviously that the plant is separated when you pot it on for the first time. So what you do is, let's look at fuchsia. It's the same, almost the same for all of the plants. So it doesn't matter which ones you're taking cuttings of, it's the same. The only thing is fuchsia, Coleus, gardenia, they'll grow from the tiniest tip piece. So if I chop that bit and put it in the soil, I'll just put rooting hormone on, it'll actually grow from that tiny little tip piece. And I put it level with the soil there, if you can see that. So yeah, gardenias and fuchsias, they'll grow like that easily. But yeah, you can use the rest of the plant too. So leave on the top couple of set of leaves and prune off the bottom ones. So what you're after, and you just prune these out of the way, you can leave them on if you like if they're not too big, but what you're after is this sort of semi-hardwood, and softwood is fine too. So you clean up all those little bits there. Now you can cut it there or there, so any nodes that are going to be put below the medium will grow roots, and any above will grow foliage. So yeah, I'll just cut it straight across, a mil or so below the node. Then I dip it in water, and then I dip it in some hormone rooting powder. There's lots of rooting powders or mixes that you can get. You can get Clonex, or there's Rutex. So yeah, any of those. So then, yeah, you just use your dibbler and put it in there. And then continue. So yeah, so yes, you need to take the flowers off all the time. So the thing in common with a lot of these plants too is they flower most of the year. So yeah, so you need to take the flowers off, and sometimes with other propagation you wait for the plant to finish flowering. Yeah, so I can cut that one there, so that makes that top perfect. So take that off, remove just the leaves so they're not touching the medium. Yep, so it's just a little cutting like that, and yeah, dip it in the water, dip it in the rooting powder, and then you can put it in this little pot. So press the medium around it. So what you do is you fill up the pot with like 10 or so cuttings. So when you're doing these cuttings, it's best to use plants of the same kind, or you know, if you're going to use fleshy plants, they can go together, like Begonia, Fuchsia, Coleus. They can all go together in one pot. But say if you're going to be doing natives, so there's some Westringia, which is easy. Coir, another easy plant. Chef's cap coir. Pandoria, climber. So if you're doing these sort of natives, I'd put these together because these take a little bit longer to root. So yeah, that's a good idea. So yeah, so what you do is you fill up whatever you're using, and you water it fully, then you let it drain, and then you place it in a shady spot where it's warm, out of the sun obviously, and you can use one of these propagation units, so it's got little vents in it, and it's got a little reservoir. I've showed you these before, and this fits in that. You can cut up a plastic bottle, and put it over the top, or you can just keep an eye on it without anything on it, and they'll probably take root, as long as the medium's kept moist and not wet. We don't want it wet. So to show you some cuttings, so these are a Begonia, which is Begonia angularis. So this is a cane type Begonia. So these have been in the pot for quite a few months. So I'll just show you how to pot on once your plants have rooted. So plants take 8 weeks plus to get roots. So these have been, so you can see they get tangled when you do it this way. That's the advantage of doing it in cells. So you've just got to be careful not to break the roots. So you tickle them out or shake them. Then, yep, so there's the roots for that one. So pretty good. So this has been in here probably 5 or 6 months, a fair time, because these are a bit slower, these begonias. But what I do then is I pot them in the same size pot as the root ball. So that one can fit in there snuggy. Yeah, and pot it up to fit in there. And then leave it in this pot till it fills up the tiny pot with roots. So keep it watered. Don't suddenly go putting it in the sun. These are shade plants anyway. But yeah, that's how you do it. So it's very important to put it in a tiny pot. So say if you put it in a huge pot, like this one, back into that size, that little plant, there's too much soil medium in there that doesn't have root in it, and it stays wet, where the smaller pot, it's got roots all over, so it's able to draw up that excess moisture. So yeah, that's the way you do it. So if it was put in there it would most likely die, or they just sit stagnant for a long, long time. It doesn't save any time putting it in a big pot. So after it doesn't take long for the roots to fill up this pot, because you saw how good the root system was. So then after this is fully rooted, you then pop it in that size pot, so not much bigger. And then it can stay in here till fully rooted. And don't pot on during winter, because you know the plants have slowed down. They go into a little bit of shock when you pot them, so just do it during the warm season. Yeah, so I hope I've explained enough how to take the cuttings. So I'll just do one more. So that's Coleus. So it's got a little flower coming. So take the flower off. Take off the side shoots. Just reduce the foliage, but like I said, it's just to fit it in the container. You don't need to take it off. Then cut below the node, straight across, because you want to make the smallest wound. Then dip it in the water, dip it in the rooting powder, and then pop it in your vessel, whatever you're using. So yeah, fill up the whole vessel. So don't have 1 or 2 plants in this big pot. Put about 8 to 10 in there, all around the edge, and maybe one in the middle. And yeah, there you go. So this here is a little geranium. So yeah, so if you're wondering, oh, when do I pot it on? So you can see the roots on this, they're established, but I don't think established enough. I like them more established than that before potting onto the next size pot. So what I do with this little person is I just take the flowers off, give it a bit more energy to grow more foliage, and during spring give it a light feed, because just check whether your plants are light feeders or heavy feeders to what you do. And yeah, so with the natives, it's exactly the same. You can take several cuttings down the stems. It's not like camellias where you can only use that year's growth. You can use, this is this year's growth, but you get about 20 plants from that bit of stem. And yeah, easy. So I'll put in the comments plants that you can use this type of propagation for, but generally China roses are really easy because they don't need to be grafted. Fuchsias, Westringia, coir, other natives, rosemary, lavender, thyme, basil, sage, oregano, the salvias, except those ones that you need to grow by division, like leucantha, like the ones that are herbaceous. So begonias, hydrangeas, nandina, gardenia, buddleia, geranium, coleus, plectranthus, daisies, rhododendron, monstera, magnolias, weigela, and so on. So I'll put a list on the comments, and I'll add to it as I think of easy ones to grow. But yeah, any of these plants you can do that with. So I think that's it. So if you have any questions, just place them in the comments. And if you like this video, yeah, please subscribe. Okay, thanks. Bye.